Assalamualaikum everyone, welcome back to my channel. In my previous video, we have dealt with the poetry and its kind, and now we are dealing with another genre of literature that is prose. So basically, prose is that genre of literature in which there is simple language. It is not written in purified language. It is totally straightforward and there is no rhythm, there is no rhyme. You can observe such kind of writings in journal in the form of articles, journals, novels, etc. They are published in different newspapers and magazines, etc. So there are basically two types of prose. There are fiction and non-fiction. Fiction prose refers to that prose which is either totally imaginative or partially imaginative. And there are some certain types of fictional prose. The first one is historical fiction. Historical fiction is that type of prose and that type of fiction in which writer takes you to the past. He takes you to the history. He takes a certain event that has happened in the past, and he can make up his own story. I mean, he can mold it. He can put his own characters into it, and then he can he express those past events. Second is realistic fiction. Realistic fiction is true to life. In this type of fiction or in this type of prose, writer portrays the real life events that can happen to animals or human beings. Third one is mystery. Mystery is basically mostly most of us are interested in. Mystery is that prose in which the reader experiences a crime scene and they are eager to know who is the killer, and there are lots of knots that needs to be untangled. Fourth one is science fiction. Science fiction is that story which is based on different it is based on different happenings of future, or it can include the events uh, happening on other planets. For example, if I am in 2020 and I am writing about 2050, so I will be writing a science fiction. Or if I'm right now on the planet Earth and I'm writing about Mars, I'm narrating a story that is happening on the Mars. So what I'm doing, that I am writing science fiction. Next one is fantasy. Fantasy is basically for children. So in this, usually you experience different kind of elements like magic and supernatural elements, demons, uh, and fairies, etc. So they are the stories of the character that are supernatural, and they are they do not belong to reality. Next one is novel. You all are familiar with this type of prose, that it is extended work of prose fiction, and there are lots of character in novel, and there is a proper story going on, and there are certain events that are going on, and novels are usually based on everyday life situation, but the characters are made up by the writer himself. Let's move towards non-fictional prose. So non-fictional prose is that prose that is rare, and it has informational material, and it is based on facts rather than imaginations. There are different types of non-fictional prose. The very first one is biographies. Biographies are the writings that are about someone. For example, if I want to write about Nelson Mandela, I would be writing a biography. I will include his, about his life, about his education, about his work, his relationships, and everything. And I will also write about his death. So I will be discussing his life events, that what he has gone through. So that would be biographies. Next one is autobiographies. For example, if I want to write about myself, if I want readers to know about me, I would be writing autobiography. I would be including my life events in that. The very famous example of autobiographies is the autobiography written by Nelson Mandela, that is Long Walk to Freedom. Third one is essay. You all are aware of that. Essay is the writing that is of moderate length, in which he can describe he can describe something, or he can expose you to some topic, and he can give his arguments. He may be the writer may be trying to um, convince you with his arguments. And next one is articles. You have read a lot of articles in the newspaper. These are the very fine example of non-fictional prose. So when you are sitting in exams, you may be asked about the difference between poetry and prose. So, prose is a straightforward form of literature where the author expresses his thoughts and feelings. And he expresses his thoughts and feelings in a very simple language. Whereas in poetry, poet use different the poetic language. He does not use simple language. He will be beautifying him with the help of different figures of speech. He will be including rhythm, he will be including rhyme. And the prose includes straightforward language, as I've told you earlier, and poetry includes decorated language. The purpose of prose is to provide information or to convey a message about, it may be about daily life, or it may be, about, they may be inspired about from daily life situations. And the poetry is, the purpose of poetry is to amuse the readers. In prose, when a writer is writing a prose, he contains different paragraphs. He writes his writing in the form of paragraphs. But when a poet is writing his poetry, he would be writing them in verses, and different there will be different stanzas. He will be portraying his imaginations. So that's not the case with prose. So these are the basic differences between prose and poetry. If you have any question regarding to this topic, you can mention the question in the comment box, and don't forget to subscribe my channel and to press the bell icon. Thank you.